Hey everybody, we're
Hello.
we're back. It's Monday. we're the
Yep.
we're Intermix. I'm Simply D,
It's Jules.
and this is the Intermix Show Hangouts version. I guess we're hanging out with y'all for the next 90 minutes or so. I like to add or so because a lot of y'all don't start asking questions till we get to the or so segment of the show. So, so tonight, man, we have actually a lot of questions that came in for tonight's show. First off, so that's kind of cool.
Awesome.
Um, you guys on Yahoo are really doing an incredible job. Have I mentioned how much I love Yahoo Answers? You can just
Now,
ask loud. Yeah, you can just ask a question and immediately you just get so many responses. And they're not Facebook responses. I'm gonna put it like that. They're actually thought out. You know, some people did research and then got back to you with an answer kind of responses. And so we got a lot of people who are really interested in tonight's episode. But before we jump into all of that, we had to give a shout out to those of you who tuned in to last week's because apparently. Us talking about the things we talked about last week, which was hold on one second because I thought I was about to lose a lung. But last week we talked a lot about how'd that word escape me just that quick? I lost a word. Somewhere I lost a word, and it's funny now.
welcome to my world.
Yeah, but we dealt with what it's like to actually feel like you don't have equal power in your relationship. Like there was another word I was going to use there, but we're going with equal power. So it turns out that a lot of you guys were really feeling that episode because you looked and found that you just did not seem to think that your relationships were really well balanced. And I expected, to be honest, when you guys, wrote in and said, my relationship is imbalanced, I expected a large percentage of you to say, well, now my relationship is over because I'm not the one who has the power in my relationship. But as opposed to that, you guys actually said, well, now I know what to work on in asserting who I am in my relationship because it's important to me that we both be equal. And a lot of the people who said this were men, and that was even more shocking. So I thought it was really a cool.
Really? That is interesting.
It was a great amount of feedback, and you guys have just been really cool when it comes down to this whole stress and relationship series. And technically it would have been over like 2 weeks from now, but we're only on number 4.
Yay!
But that's because we sidetracked quite a bit answering some of the questions that came up from the first 2. And the answer to those came, took another 2-3 weeks to do. So we're having a good time. That's why the title has not changed. And if you really want to know what the night's topic is about, you have to read the typo-written explanation of the show.
Yes.
So
It's not that long.
No, it's not that long. No, it's not that long. So tonight we're going to talk about how to maintain a sense of self while in a relationship, because often people feel like they lose a sense of who they are.
Yeah.
So in the explanation, if you guys had been reading, you would see that this tends to happen especially in the beginning of a relationship because you're so focused on the other person being happy and understanding the other person, it's easy to forget who you are. And because you're trying to become, without thinking consciously about it, you're trying to become what you think the other person needs you to be or wants you to be. So, but eventually that wears off. And all of a sudden, the real you, the you were before that person came along, starts to try to come out and claim what it used to be. And,
or your friends tell you what is happening to you.
Yeah.
Bring you back to reality.
So eventually you realize I'm just not doing none of the stuff I used to do. I'm just not the person that I used to be. And not necessarily because it's a bad thing, but because you're starting to really just lose track of your own, direction, the things that you want to do, and a lot of people feel, especially according to Yahoo today, a lot of people feel it's very difficult to bring the things that you wanted before you got into a relationship into a relationship, because when you think about the things you want, then it's going to cost you overall the relationship. I'm like, that's a very interesting. I mean, and if it had just been one person said it very well, but it was voted very high, on the list, and I was like, okay, so this is a popular opinion, and so so I said, okay, so this is where I think we need to really focus in on this a little bit, because if you think that now, true, if your goal is to rob a bank, and you get into a relationship and your goal changes to having a family, go with it. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't fight that feeling. Go with it. But if your desire is to write a screenplay, or to one day own your own business, or to do something that is positive, and you feel like you have to give those things up because you're in a new relationship, and the person in the relationship says things like, what was it that girl said? Said something like, I could never be with a man who just doesn't want to work for somebody else, because that way there's no risk.
Really?
Yes, which is a very popular belief, which is why a lot of women and some men don't want to be with entrepreneurs, because they don't like the idea of somebody taking risk. They want something stable, and they want to be able to predict what's going to happen moment to moment.
That's also not necessarily something you can predict either, even if you have a job for somebody else, or working under somebody else. That company can go bankrupt. You can get fired. You can get laid off. The company can be sold and you lose your job. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those things happen.
Oh, yes. And a lot of us saw those things happen like a couple years ago, all at one time. So, when you're standing in line at McDonald's and you have a master's degree because you just need a job, it can be a little, it can just tell you that it doesn't matter. It can happen to anybody at any time. And so there is no guarantee this is true. So tonight, before we really dive in, because I know that, you guys really want to start talking about these things, someone is lovingly reminding me in my ear that we haven't asked Jules about her weekend yet. So, Jules, how was yours?
I babysat over the weekend. It was fun. It was pretending to have. It was kind of like a puppy dog because he was 2. But it was nice. It felt like practice. And he was well behaved. No, it was really good. He was well behaved. He went to bed. His parents said, he needs to be in bed by 8:30. As soon as 8:30 hit, like clockwork, he was like rubbing his eyes. We were watching Lilo and Stitch, and he was already tired and he wanted to go. He put himself to bed. I sang him a little bit, lullaby. He started fake snoring. Apparently, he does that to let you know he's about to go to bed, so get out of the room. So that was good. And then on Sunday, went to go see Cats the musical, which is one of the very first musicals ever debuted, and it was interesting. And it was I had a.
What does that mean? What does interesting mean?
I recently watched not too long ago Book of Mormon, which is another musical at the Pantages Theater in Hollywood. Comparing that, which is very modern, very hilarious, a lot of craziness happening, and very interactive with the audience, to Cats, which is pretty much modern dance.
Yes.
Weird psychedelic music.
Psychedelic.
The storyline is kind of like, if you were tripping on some drug, you would be like, oh, that's so deep. But it was. I enjoyed it for what it is, because it was amazing dancers, and they had to do everything. Every single person on that stage had to do everything, sing, dance, which most musicals, yes, you do, but they all had their own like solo parts, and so they had to all stand out pretty well. And I give it up to musical actors, man. It's hard. I tried out for one in high school. But yeah, I would like to actually attempt at a musical, but it was good. It was very good. That was pretty much my weekend. It was, did a lot of chores. It wasn't all that exciting, y'all, unfortunately. But yeah. How about you, Dee?
Oh, my weekend was full of,
surprises.
Adventure. It was an adventurous weekend. I found that when this is what I had to tell somebody else today. When God has given you an anointing for something, no matter how much you at times want to run from that thing, don't do that. Like, it is better just to say yes, Lord, and move forward, because either way you're going to have to go through some things. So you might as well go through in the confidence that you're working within the anointing that God has given you. And my thing, I think, is anytime you start to doubt the gifts God gave you, He's going to allow you to walk in that thing so that you become very confident very quick about what it is that He is doing in your life and what He has groomed you to do. So, enjoy the walk with God. That's what I'm going to say about my weekend. I'm just learning, and I've learned to enjoy the walk with God, because you never know what's coming around the corner. And I think the other thing is, when you tell someone you love them, then you have to display it in ways that often can be challenging. But at the same time, we talk a lot on this show about patience. So, love deals a lot in patience. Love is patient, kind, all these kinds of things. So being able to show kindness and patience in situations that are difficult is a true testament to your ability to really walk in love, not just be like, oh, well, maybe next time I'll get it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting. I've had a very interesting week. It was a very educational weekend, and I learned a lot about myself this weekend. Mother's Day was off the chain. Mother's Day was, it was fun. My wife and I and the kids, we went to see Spider-Man 2.
Nice.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It was good. It was good. It was a lot of fun. We all had a good time with that, and then we went to have dinner at the Cheesecake Factory, because my wife had never had a meal at the Cheesecake Factory, so we did that, and just really sat back and just had and breathed a bit, because the beginning of this year has been very interesting, just very family, very interesting, a lot of things happening. So Mother's Day was the perfect chance to breathe and prepare for the second half of the year. So we're like, wow, with all these things happening in the beginning of the year, can't wait to see what happens on the second half of the year. So we're excited, and so that was pretty much my weekend. Got a chance to hear from all of my family and stuff. So, and that rarely ever happens, but I'm always reminded on how close my family really is when it comes down to getting together to get things done. So it's cool. It is cool. So when it comes now, let's talk about this whole independence thing, because I'm sitting here, and that's why you guys kept seeing me look at my phone, because you're sending more questions in, and anybody who has questions that they'd like to send in, you can go ahead and post those questions on our on our Google Plus page, right underneath the this show, because I know some of you are watching this show live right now. And if you have any questions or if you have any comments, you can go ahead and list them under this, and then we're going to do the best we can to keep up with the notifications that come in, because on this screen that we see, we don't see those questions. So unless you click on the actual link and come into the show, then we don't see those questions. But I did find that at the end of every show, we had just people just writing different questions in that we never saw live on the show. So starting next week, what we're going to do is we're actually going to put in the we're going to activate the Q&A aspect of the Hangouts, where now you can, without having to come into the show per se, you can just write a question that you want us to answer, and then we'll keep track of answering those questions. And then later on, the system will put a time code to each question as it gets answered, because we'll mark it off as it gets answered. So if somebody just wants to come by later on, just get that answer, they'll be able to do that with no problem. So we're working it out because we see that there are a lot of questions that we've been missing, and we do apologize for that. Most of the time when I'm hearing people ask questions, it's usually from a Yahoo thing, Yahoo or something like that. And but we are going to try to get everybody over to Hangouts to make it easier for us to get all our questions in one place.
Yes, please.
Because you guys were asking, you know, where do you go to ask your questions? How do these people know how to get? Because this is the Yahoo crew most of the time, so easily with Yahoo, we at any given time have 1,100 people who are watching the show and then asking their questions. That's where they come from, and that's how come you hear a lot of the same people asking questions, because they like to stir up stuff. So that's what's happening there. Now let's get back to tonight's thing. I forgot to do a little business. So I forgot to do that at the beginning. Well, wait, actually, before we start that. And while we're on business, because most of y'all might not be here at the end. So if you want to find us here on the internet, you know, you can first find us here on Google Plus, which is plus INNERMIX Show. Okay.
I'll go to us on Twitter, INNERMIX_show.
Yep. You got Facebook. Just type in INNERMIX and you will see our fan page. So follow us on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. And soon we're gonna finally our new website's gonna be up.
Oh,
and running. So stay tuned for that. We'll give you the address for that.
Yes, and then also you have the Instagram, and and that's INNERMIX 360, which is actually the title of our new website coming up as well. That's why we did that on Instagram, so you guys can get used to seeing it. So, yeah, cool.
Awesome.
I don't think there's anything else, right? Right? No, okay, cool. So now we can just jump into this stuff. Okay, so let's talk being yourself in a relationship. Now, before we can even really get to how to blend who you naturally are into your relationship, we first have to understand what happens when we get into relationships. What is the mindset? What is the process like? And how do we, without realizing it, lose a sense of ourselves? Oh, you gotta say something?
No, I just, when this topic first came up, my mind went straight to all the relationships that I've encountered within my life. Now, I'm not talking about just my own personal relationships, but like the relationships that my friends were in particular, like, you know, basically everybody that I know ever in my life, all of the relationships that have failed in the past, it was because they were not themselves. And the relationships now that are successful, that they're in, they are the most themselves that I know, that I've known for years. And that's the reason why I'm like, okay, this one's going to work out, because you are completely yourself and they're accepting of that. You are accepting of that. You're comfortable with being yourself, which is very important. And everything is gravy. But it took so many toads before they got to the prince. So yeah, I remember every single one of them, and how some of my friends completely changed who they were, from their likes and dislikes to their dress to the way they, you know, the topics that they talked about to the foods they started to like. It was quite interesting. But yeah.
And yet you never notice it when it's happening to you.
No, they didn't get it until you bring it up. You're like, huh? Really? I don't do that. I didn't do that. And we're like, yes, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Well, Samuel is asking, how do you know, if your friends don't tell you, basically, how do you know when you're starting to lose who you really are and becoming what you think the other person wants you to be? What are the warning signs?
Well, for me, I do a lot of. I like to have my own private like me time to do analysis. Analysis of myself, analysis of the relationship, analysis of uh, just the situation and how the progress of things. And if it's not going in the direction that I had originally set it out to be, then those are red flags. If my course of, I mean, yes, there's always room for compromise for certain things, but if there are things that are set in stone that I know this was my goal, this was my vision, this is something, my dream that I was pursuing, and then that all of a sudden is at a halt because either the person that I was with, halt as in like not just a temporary, just building process, but if it's completely just stopped, like some of the Vegas casinos that they stopped working on because they ran out of money. Like you have to really do analysis on like, is this still something that I really love and still want to pursue? If it is, why am I not doing it? Or why am I not pursuing it anymore? And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to break up with the person that you're with because they, it's not 100% their fault. It's a conversation that needs to be had at that point,
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's good to always do analysis. It's always good to do a self-reflection, have moments of that. And if you're in a relationship where you're continuously, every day, in and out, 24/7, stuck next to the person and never able to have alone time, I think that can become life-sucking. in a sense that you don't have time to have your own thoughts. You don't have time to process your own, opinions or your thought processes or figure stuff out, and you're constantly this figure is right next to you all the time, yada 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 yada, yapping. Did I?
Right.
That sounds so bad, but you know what I mean. Like you don't have time to do your own thought processes, and that's important for any situation. So yeah.
Lisa says, man, Lisa, it's gonna be interesting tonight. Lisa says that she says, but isn't the whole idea to have somebody next to you and that is always going to be there next to you? Isn't then how do you move forward with the person without
Okay,
how do you move forward? So her question is, how do you move forward with the person, and then how do you let them know that you may want your own space?
I think it's important. I mean, yes, ultimately you want somebody that you want to spend your life with. I'm not saying that that's not the case.
look.
Hold on one second.
Lisa says that she says, but isn't the whole idea to have somebody?
I'm gonna. Okay, sorry, I needed to mute that. Hi, Wendy. We just needed to mute you for a second. Okay, so yes, you want somebody to be there always. As in support, you want somebody to. I'm not talking physically be there 24/7. I'm talking you want them to be there emotionally supporting you, and yes, physically supporting you, and all of those things. But as an individual, you also need your own personal time. And I think that's important for any relationship because without your own personal time, you don't know, you're so engrossed in the relationship, all you see is just the other person as opposed to, and not to completely separate him and you or you or him, or you and her, whatever. I'm talking to men too, but it's important for that because if you don't know how to spend time by yourself, then you are so dependent on the other person that you completely lose track of everything. And I've seen it happen where and then you start to, you don't know how to spend time with your friends. You completely forget to have correspondence with other people because you're always stuck together, stuck at the hip to your spouse, or not spouse, but or spouse, yeah, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, whatever. But you don't know how to interact with other people. You just are completely attached to each other. And what happens if you get into a fight? Then what? And then your whole life just fell apart because you don't know how to assess your own emotions. You don't know how to have your own alone time to process things. You don't know how to have. You forget to have counsel. with people that you trust. And yes, you also have to have counsel with your significant other, but you also want your inner circle to to go back and forth with. And sometimes because you're in the relationship, you might think of things or process things completely wrong because you're so emotionally involved, where a third party who's not in the relationship might see more clearly outside of the picture. So I think whenever I'm in a relationship, I think that will be something really important for myself and my future husband to really incorporate into our relationship, because I need my girl time. He needs to have his guy time, bro time, and also single time, my alone time, his alone time, so that when we get together, we become more full, more of ourselves, and we can bring more to the table, as opposed to not just everything him and I. I don't know. I think that's a more fulfilling relationship, in my opinion. And why are you muted? Hold up. D, your mic is muted. I don't know why.
I got
there
it.
It goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so we're getting a lot of feedback on everything. So let me see if we can keep up with this. First, once again, hi Wendy, good to see you. Wanted to check and see if Wendy had an opinion before we go back to the messages that are coming in. So let's give that a shot.
Okay, let me unmute her. Okay, I can't unmute for some reason. I think you might have to do it. Oh, I think Wendy's clicking on it by accident. Hold on.
You gotta love technology.
Uh-huh. Wendy, unmute your mic. You click on your little downward arrow button. Okay. I don't know if she's got it yet. Okay. Let's answer a question while she's figuring that out. Oh, hold on. You just got muted again.
I got it. Okay.
So I was trying to figure it out.
There you go,
Wendy. There you go.
Am I here?
Yes, you are.
Oh yeah, I finally got a chance to catch you guys' show.
And how are you?
You guys was talking about a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes, yeah, we tend to, because we get a lot of questions that come in, and right now people want to know, how do you find yourself in the middle of a relationship? How do you get back to the you were before the relationship began?
Well, I personally, I feel you have to love yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel you have to love yourself first. I think that it's incapable of you to love someone else if you don't love yourself first.
You know that experience you have when you are in a new relationship, so you're thinking so much about the other person that you kind of lose track over time of who you were? That's where we are, where the people tend to lose track of who they are because they're in the relationship. So then, maybe 3 to 6 months down the line, you ask yourself, what happened to me? Mm-hmm. You know that moment when you wake up and you say, wait, I was supposed to be doing this, that, and the other by now. What happened?
Right.
Okay, so then you start telling the person you with that I need time to myself. But now they take it wrong, because in the full first 4 to 6 months, you didn't need time to yourself. Mm-hmm. So now that you need time to yourself, how do you see what I'm saying? Now, how do you get that time back without wrecking your relationship? How do you find your you time?
Right. So, but you time. So you time is basically just time that you need to spend with yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you need but you have to have that inner peace within yourself as well.
Yeah.
To establish that.
It is a very tricky thing when people get used to you. It's like my favorite example. I like to use club examples. Because people seem to understand those examples the most. But I like, but you know how if you meet a guy and all he wants to do is buy you drinks, So you get in the habit of that this is how he presents himself. He likes to do these things. He likes to carry himself this way. This is what he likes to do. But then all of a sudden he changes. He says, "Oh no, I'm not doing that." It's you got used to that old behavior, so the new behavior is going to throw you for a loop.
Right. I don't know. What does that have to do with a guy buying you drinks? I don't get it.
No. Some girls, okay. Here's what happens. Some girls say, "Well, you paid for stuff in the beginning, and you're willing to spend this much on me in the beginning."
Oh, now you're not spending any money on me now?
Yeah. So if you I recently talked to somebody who's the girls he has dated has always expected him to spend above $100 on a date every day. It don't matter what it is. Then when he says, let's go do something simple, they have a fit because they say, "Oh, so now I'm not worth your time, or I'm not worth the money."
Okay, dating the wrong girls.
Yeah. But really,
bring your own money.
Yeah.
Bring your own money. Then you don't owe each other anything.
But I think the real issue is people exactly. I think the issue is that people get used to the behavior, and then when it switches, just like that, they don't know what to do. So they take.
Well, it shouldn't be so cold turkey 180. It's not like dropping a bad habit. It's not. You're not trying to quit cigarettes. You gotta ease them into it a little bit. Be gentle.
Well, that's why I say, if you're gonna start establishing certain things, I like to try to establish those things in the beginning of the relationship, where people get used to these things happening. As opposed to waiting. Just going off into La La Land and coming back. That's how I ended up getting married, because I didn't drift off into La La. Because when you drift too far off into La La Land, when you try to come back to reality, nobody really wants to go back. So my thing is, I was doing shows and performing and all that kind of stuff when I met my wife. Therefore, I didn't necessarily stop the show stuff. I did stop a few things so I'd make time for her, but I didn't stop so much that she would just think I was always just going to be sitting still waiting for her to come back and hang out with me again. But a lot of people, they will stop. They will stop hanging out with their friends. They will stop doing a lot of things. Wendy, before we let you go, did you have any other comments?
Well, I just think that a lot of people, that's just the old standard of living where, as you was talking about the club, a lot of women, when they go to the club, they're expecting the guys to buy the drinks.
Exactly. And there's a lot of...
It's just an old standard of where it used to be. But now, you're in new times now.
Well, I think what it is people have a standard that they expect, but they don't vocalize that thing until something comes up. Right. But until then, it's just an expectation that they have of you, of your gender, of your role, of the relationship they're in with you.
Right.
But they never voice what that is until something comes up, and it's usually it's not usually a positive way that it comes up. It's usually something negative. So. Thank you for joining the show, Wendy.
I finally got a chance to catch you guys' show. You're doing great.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. So, what was the question before we went with Wendy?
Oh, basically, it was. Let me get back to it. So we had Alexandra, and Alexandra was trying to find out. Oh, excuse me, I'm drinking too much tea. But Alexandra was trying to find out if you have to bring a third party into your relationship to help you see your relationship. How is it possible to really learn how to build one on your own? Aren't you supposed to build it on your own and then maybe one day go seek counseling when things are going wrong?
No. No. It's like saying, "Oh, shouldn't you learn how to play golf by yourself, or play tennis by yourself? There's no instructor to help you."
By yourself, but yeah,
no, you can't. No, you cannot.
You can play golf by yourself.
You cannot. You can try. You can try, and the balls will go pew, pew, pew. No, your form will be all wrong. You're gonna probably hurt yourself, hit yourself with the golf club. Because you swung it too hard,
it could be your intent.
Throw it. No, but I don't think it's a negative thing at all to ask for counseling, because especially if you want it right, if you want the relationship to go right, I don't I don't see anything wrong with that. And I also personally, maybe because I've had therapy myself, or counseling myself, for just my own personal things from when I was young. I don't think I'm a lunatic. I don't think I'm crazy. Well, sometimes, but you know, like I'm not.
You're not really doing so well right now. I don't think I'm a lunatic. Not really. I don't think I'm crazy. No, not so much. Not anymore. You know, like.
Right. You know, I gotta
make those statements and just keep moving.
But I got therapy, and it was probably the best thing that I did, because you know, if you're living in your head too much, if you're constantly overanalyzing things too much the way I did, you completely go off track, and you start thinking about the worst things, worst possible situations, worst scenarios, worst things about yourself, the things that probably didn't even happen, but you're twisting it into your head. You know, your mind is really powerful. If you believe something to be true, you will really, your whole body will, your whole being will believe that it's true when sometimes it's not. Just like how when you're really little and you look at photographs of certain things, you later on in memory you might think that stuff actually happened, or it was you when it was somebody else. That's happened to me before. Anyway, so it's true. Therapy, there's nothing wrong with therapy. It is not a negative thing at all. There are a lot of pastors who give relational therapies, you know, marriage therapy counselors and things like that, things of that nature, who are there to help you work it out, talk it out before it gets to that point where it's a breaking point, you know, because a lot of people sometimes don't know how to talk to each other. Yes, you figure it out on the way, but sometimes you need a little guidance, and that's what, I mean, Jesus is our guidance. We need help all the time. So I don't think it's seen as something like, oh, you're a failure at your relationship because now you need counseling. I don't think that at all. If you are a failure at the relationship, if you don't ask for help when you know that you should. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jenna. I'm listening to a bunch of things at the same time. I feel like I'm working at fast food right now. Jenna.
Number 3, number 5, number 2, number 5, number 2.
Jenna says, what if you are in a relationship where you know you need counseling, but you can't get your partner to go? She said, is it a good idea for me to go get counseling by myself and hope that it rubs off on my partner? And what if I find out that my partner is the reason that I'm in counseling in the first place? Then am I supposed to break up, or what do I do? Okay, so, well, first off, okay, when you are talking about relationship counseling, it is very beneficial for both people to go, because you can deal with, I was gonna say attack, but you can deal. That's the wrong word. You can deal
assess.
with.
The counselor can assess the situation much better.
Yeah, and
personalities there.
And you can also, you know, start to deal with the different issues that you may have, and you can bring them up in a safe way. Versus one went to counseling and then said, well, the counselor said that you have this problem. You know, that's not always a good thing. So what you really are looking at doing is, if possible, you both go. But there are plenty of situations where people feel like they have to work on themselves before they can really work on the relationship. And in those situations, if you feel like you may have issues that you need to work out on your own while in a relationship, then there's nothing wrong with getting counseling for yourself, because it helps you identify how you see things, what's going on, and what some of your key triggers are that are causing you to react the way you react in certain situations. So I would say that, you know, if you can, work together on the relationship in terms of that. But if you know that the problem is primarily you and you're having some kind of issue that you don't really know how to explain to your partner, then I think counseling is really beneficial in helping you get the words and understand the behavior yourself. So that's what I would say about that, Jenna. I love that name, though. I like Jenna.
Well, and as far as whether or not you should break up with him, that's not something we can answer. Only you know that. And I think after you get counseling, and you know, because you might think, so let's say I'm in a relationship with somebody and I might think it's all him, it's always his fault. It's always something that he did wrong, blah, 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 blah. And so, like, we need to get counseling because you need help. Not so much me, but you need help, right? But the truth of the matter is it could actually be something that I caused for him to get irritated, or something that I take wrong because of my own insecurities or my own flaws or my own experiences and my own history that I reflect on him. So,
Sheila said, "Women don't cause the problems. We deal with them and solve them. It's the men who have all the problems." Don't help her, Sheila. Sheila, don't help her. She don't need nobody else trying to give her ways out of stuff she can get herself into. No.
See, that's what I've been saying all these years. But then people don't always agree with me, Sheila. Us, Sheila. No, but so sometimes I think it is good. I think many times it is good for you to get your own counseling too. And then while you're in therapy, if he refuses to go for whatever reason, and you're saying, if you love me and you want this to work, let's go, and he still says no, and you've been going, and then you assess, and you and the therapist or counselor assess he is the issue, then that's something that you have to figure out on your own, whether or not it's the relationship is worth for you to stay. And if it's something that is fixable. So that's not that's a case-by-case situation that we cannot really give a generic answer to. Yeah.
I do love, though, how everybody wants us to give generic answers to certain situations that are really case-by-case. But that's what we're here for, to tell you we can't do that. That's like saying, no, ma'am, you cannot open the door on the airplane while in flight. I mean, but thank you for asking, So, I'm trying to figure out which one to go with. Peter says, well, the issue that I primarily face is that even though I understand there are difficulties in my relationship, I'm not sure how to address them because she's always so quick to say that she's the problem, when really I think that we are causing the problem. But she assesses it as she assesses it as though everything I say is a personal attack when I'm merely making a observation of us as a unit. Well, let's be real, okay? Nobody wants to be told that what the relationship they're in is not doing well, especially by the person that's in the relationship with them. Because now, if you say, no, it's me, it's not you, it's me, nobody believes that mess anymore because it's been used on TV for far too long. You know what I'm saying?
Far too often.
Far too often, far too long. So they really think that what you're saying is it's you. It's all you.
Yeah, it's not me.
It's not me, it's you. But I want you to feel strong when I break up with you, so it's really me. You know what I'm saying? That's what they assume you're saying. Now, when you make statements about the relationship and they're not positive statements, then people cannot help. A lot of people cannot help but take it personal, as though they are the problem. Even if you say we need to change this behavior, all they seem to hear is
you.
Yeah, like they hear I because they thinking, or they hear you say you need to change this behavior, but I'm going to stay here with you while you do it. So everything is their fault. So what's happening is they are having trouble understanding why you see so many problems, and yet they just continue to mount up. And like you're saying, that it's both of you. So it could be partying, it could be, because I hear a lot of this when it's usually partying or some kind of extracurriculars involved. But it can happen at any level of relationship. But when this happens, Peter, take time to, reaffirm your commitment to the relationship while you are discussing how you guys can work together to improve the relationship. You can't make an observation of, well, this is going wrong and we need to fix it, but then leave it like that. That doesn't help the person, especially if they're very sensitive, thinking that it's them that's causing the problem. If they're sensitive, and usually there's somebody who's more sensitive than the other. I have seen relationships where neither person is sensitive, but that's very interesting itself. But where they just talk to each other like, yeah, well, you suck too. Well, you suck. Well, let's go to bed. Let's go to bed then. Wow. Like, you're as ugly as your mama. You married me, so you must like this ugly then. Whatever. You're like, wow. I love that bee. Well, he loves this bee. I'm like, wait. You just called yourself that too? But anyway, so when you are dealing with somebody who is sensitive, it's important to recognize that they are sensitive. Okay? Don't downplay it like, well, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, because I had a flashback to me. But I found in time that this is not the right response. Don't expect them to get over it because you're over it. That is not fair.
Yeah. Fine.
It's like why I gotta tell people the truth? But anyway, so it's not fair to them because you had two different lives before you got together. Now that you guys are trying to share the same road, you have to make room for each other. That means you're also making room for what each other brings from the road travel before you got together. And some people have gone through enough things and have been hit a certain way where they just are sensitive to things that are relationship oriented because they're already sensitive to things relationship oriented. The last thing you need is to be extra sensitive. So reaffirm your commitment to the relationship because I know, just as a man in general, I know that when you said we need to work on this, that was you affirming your commitment to the relationship. But
yeah.
No, hush. But
yeah.
But that's not always going to be received that way, because all the sensitive person is going to hear is fix it. So what you need to do is make sure you take the time to treat her after you talk about the things. Still treat her like the woman you're in love with. Don't make a statement then leave. Reaffirm that you're in it, and it's more than just words. It has to be action, and it's not always about having sex and saying, okay, there we go, we did this thing, now we're reaffirmed. It's about showing in the way you treat and walk with her on a day-to-day while you work on fixing these things and while you bring these things up, that you are able to care for her just the same. It has not changed how you feel. And then when she sees that you're not going anywhere, that you are truly in love with her, then she'll be probably more apt to making those adjustments, because I know that that's how older women will tell you that's how they got their men to go to church. They said, you want to go to church today? No? Okay, well, I'll see you when I get home. They didn't nag them. They didn't whatever. After a while, when she stopped asking, I know this one story in particular, when she stopped asking, he said, well, why didn't she ask me to go to church today? I would have gone. So he gets something. Why didn't you ask me to go to church today? Oh, you say no every week. I didn't want to bug you. No, I want to go with you. Next thing you know, he's a deacon. You know what I mean? Like, but it's all about not putting so much pressure on the situation that it causes it to be always uncomfortable. So be considerate of how she feels, and maybe one day you might want to just find out why it's hard for her to receive the information you're bringing, but just don't start that conversation with what's wrong with you.
Well, yeah.
No. You have to make these statements, Jules, because, well, what's wrong with you? Why you don't understand what I'm saying? These are statements that you have to work.
But here's the thing. You could say the same words, the same sentences, but in two different tones. It'll be taken completely different.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, there's nothing wrong. And there's nothing wrong. Like, women do this all the time. But I know. I sometimes am one. So, like...
like, what's wrong?
There could definitely be nothing wrong. No, nothing's wrong. Or, like, no, nothing's wrong.
Nothing.
Like, completely. So, like, when you tell her, Peter... yeah, we need to work on this. Like, if you're really genuinely saying we need to work on this, as opposed to we need to work on this. It's like, that's how, you know what I mean? It's gonna be taken completely differently. So maybe think about how the tone is coming out too when you're saying what you're saying. So she might take it in the right way. Yeah.
Peter said, you guys are hilarious. Thank you so much. This actually does help. You're welcome.
You did.
Yeah.
Yay!
You're welcome. We hope you got something out of that. So Man, good Lord. Okay, so Terry. Terry, guy or girl? Girl, okay. Terry. Nowadays, you just don't know with the certain names. Terry, so Terry wants to know, so how do I get back to finding my own dream when I've been in a relationship for over 2 years and I've been focused on helping him find his dream? Man, good Lord. Okay, so Terry.
Sorry. Okay, I had to mute him.
Uh-huh. So.
Well, I think it'll be a good start to talk to your spouse or your boyfriend about your dream. You know, that I had this goal, I had this dream from such and such long ago, and I really miss it. I really want to pursue it, and you know, blah blah blah. Just I think it doesn't have to be a really difficult conversation per se. But I mean, I guess it can be if the other person comes off saying no, you can't.
Well, I can't help but picture that if you've been doing something for 2 years and you haven't really described or said that you had a hope, a dream, a wish, and ambition, you know, and now all of a sudden you're saying, well, I had this wish, this hope, this dream, this ambition before I met you, then it's coming out of left field, you know, especially depending on how you approach the topic. You know, like if you say, well, it's because of you. Now, see, people have faced this all throughout. You know, men have faced this all throughout history. It's because of you I had to give up my dream of being a doctor. It's not because of me. You know, but so people usually say when they realize that they've stopped doing something because they fell in love, it's really the choice they made to stop doing those things a lot of the time. But they don't, but you know, it's hard to say, I gave that up so I can spend time with you. That's a hard thing to say. You know, I told my wife I gave up my record deal so I could see if this relationship worked out. But I told her, so that way later on, I didn't have to say, I could never say, you know, but I told her I chose that though, because I would rather build this relationship with you here where I can be with you versus going on the road and then trying to build a relationship like this, knowing your view of entertainers to begin with. It just wasn't a good idea. But some people never say any of that stuff. They never take it upon themselves to say, I'm making this decision because I want to know. You know, so then it comes out all kinds of wrong. But you talk about 2 years down the line. Well, in 2 years, me and my wife were married. You know, so but that's a long period of time where you build a kind of structure and a routine in a relationship. And 2 years later, you're saying, well, now, what about me being an actor? Or what about me designing a building? What about me being a dancer? What about me doing... I'd be shocked. Like, where is this coming from? I mean, wait, I'm not saying no. I'm just, well, why are you shocked? You know it's always been my dream. No, you've never mentioned it before. What are you talking
Well, it depends on how they come at you with it. If I let's say you and I were married and then we've been married 2 years. Let's say, I'm sorry, what was her name? Terry.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
I'm Terry, you're Terry. Yeah, we're both Terry. Terry squared. So, if Terry said, you know, 2 years into the relationship, and then all of a sudden, but this is something, let's say she wanted to be an actress, and she wanted to be an actress for decades, and then she got into this relationship, and it's been 2 years, but she never said anything because she was scared or whatever her reasoning was. She wanted to stay in the relationship. If I came to the guy, let's say I'm the guy. Let's say Terry comes to me. I changed sexes. Okay, let's say Terry comes to me and says, honey, I've always wanted to be an actress. The last 2 years I haven't done anything, but I feel like this is something that I really want to pursue. And, you know, came to me spilling her heart out. It's really, really telling me that this is something that she wants to really, you know, have a go at. As her boyfriend or husband or significant other, I would want to support that as much as possible. If she comes at me saying, it's your fault that I didn't do it, then I'm going to retaliate too. What? But if she comes to me, you know, saying, hey, this is something that I really want to pursue. Will you be there for me? Will you do this with me? You know, I want you to be a part of it. Will you do this with me? Then, yeah. You know, so I think it all depends on how you how the person goes at it. And also, it really has to be that Terry feels that way, not that she doesn't resent her man for the last 2 years that she didn't pursue anything. Because technically, it was her choice.
Well, yeah, and actually what she's saying is that she's just not sure how to bring it up because they have a very comfortable and, routine life. And she's not mentioning what she wants to do, but basically she's thinking about just making a switch right now while everything is kind of routine and stable. And it's a scary thought because, and this just happens to anybody. When you think about making a switch, it's going to affect the relationship whether you think it is or not. It's going to affect, and depending on what the switch is, it's going to affect the income. It's going to affect time together. It's going to affect a lot of different factors. And so she's trying to figure out how to bring this topic up to begin with, and I can see how that can be a bit of a challenge. I can see how depending on what the relationship is like, that can be a little scary, especially because because it might be a new passion, and
yeah.
We don't listen to what you say until it's real. So like, I think I'm going to go to cooking school. That's wonderful. Fantastic.
I want to play tomorrow. What?
Wait, well, I signed
up. For real?
Because there's a lot of things that you might want to do, but then tell me what you're going to do, and then we'll talk about that. But let's because there's a lot of wannas, and if you have more wannas than gunners, then let's wait till the gunners hit, because that means that you finally decide you're going to pursue something. And either way, I'm the kind of guy that's going to be like, cool, well, let's do some research on it and let's see if that works. And if that's what you really want to do, then let's do that.
Yeah.
So, but I've done a lot of wannas with a lot of different people, and I've only seen one gunner in all that time. Not everybody's going to do that. I'll just tell you that. Not everybody's going to sit there and do that. But as to how to bring it up, just talk to your man about it, because it's not really, if you have always had a goal, you don't even know his opinion on the goal. And what I like to tell people is, all jokes aside, count up the cost. There's a cost to everything you do. So count up the cost so that way you can explain not only the desire, but how you believe it's going to work, so that you can actually not only come with a somewhat of an idea or a problem, but you also bring the solution to how you can work it out and still maintain the relationship quality. Because ultimately, that's what people are concerned about. Well, it looks like Craig has joined us. Let's see if Craig wants to say anything. Hey, Craig, welcome to the INNERMIX show. Can you hear us?
I don't know. I can't hear him. He's not muted.
Oh.
But maybe he doesn't have a...
Oh, that's possible. A mic. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we are still... So everybody who is just now tuning in, and we have a lot of people tuning in. Thank you first off for tuning in to the INNERMIX show Hangouts. And tonight we're talking about stress and relationships, and we're focusing in on how to maintain your sense of self while in a relationship, because in the beginning of a relationship, it's too easy to get lost in the new person. This happens to a lot of people. But at some point, you want to regain your sense of self, the person you were before you were in the relationship, and blend it into the relationship that you're in. So that was just a quick recap for those, because I just saw numbers jump up. So thank you guys for joining. Now, let's start talking before we take any more questions. Let's start talking about, so you realize that let's just jump to the part where you realized you have changed, and you're doing things, that you said you would never do. Okay, because that's usually when you start to realize it. So somebody asked earlier, what are some of the indications that you're changing? Well, first off, you start to do things that you said you would never do. You start to, you never were going to wear plaid. You were never going to wear plaid golf shorts, but she likes plaid golf shorts on you. So guess what you're wearing? Plaid golf shorts. You swore you would never dress like Carlton, but guess what she likes? The Carlton look on you. I'm just saying. It's like a lot of things start to change, but you don't even notice it because all you want to do is see them smile, right? But then you get to the point to where something has happened at work. There's a possibility of layoffs. Family members get sick. As you get older, these things happen, and real life starts to creep in. And then you ask yourself this one thing: what happened to my dreams? How come I haven't been to one of my family members said recently on my wife's side, how come I haven't been golfing in so long? And because he said, well, it's not because of the money. It was purely because he had lost track of him time. That's where he spent his time, was on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
Where, yes, Amber, that is true. Some people, Amber has basically said that some people spend so much time in their relationship and they change so much they don't know how to spend time with the people they used to spend time with successfully. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to. They don't even know who they're supposed to be when they're back with their old friends. So, but that is very true. It is hard to regain. It is hard to regain a sense of self if you're that far gone. You're learning who your new self is. But when you want to try to blend who you are or who you were into into the relationship you're in now, what you really want to do is, first off, it's a good idea to write down your goals for yourself. It is. It's the number one step. Write down what your personal goals are. So that way, you, first off, don't lose track of the vision. Because relationships will make you lose track of a lot of things. And this is not a negative thing. It just happens. The more you get caught up in the haze of relationships, the easier it is to not see what you originally were trying to see. And that's why it's not a negative. That's why it's just important that you write these things down. The next thing that you really want to do is you want to, from time to time, bring up your goals while you're talking in your casual conversations in your relationships. That way, when you spend time with the person you're with, they recognize that you've made a choice to spend time with them as opposed to be where you would normally be if you weren't in a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. And they learn to appreciate your time. And make sure, now, this is something I had to learn, but also make sure that if you're a person who spends time doing other things, that you don't neglect those other things you like to do. Because then it will become expected that you have stopped doing those things and that you're not going back to it. So it's
not totally, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
After a while, because it's well, what? Imagine if you went to if you went to, suppose you were a person who likes, we're going to use the gym as an example. Suppose you're a person who likes to go to the gym 4 days a week. Mm-hmm. But then you get into a relationship and you go to the gym a total of no days a week because you spend all your time with your person. Right? Then when you start saying, I'm going to go to the gym, and you start saying, I'm going back 4 days a week, their question is, well, why are you going 4 days a week? And then don't get with a suspicious man or a suspicious woman because you're going there because people look better than they do. Or whatever the case may be. But try to maintain some sense. You don't have to go 4 days when you're in a relationship, but it's a good idea to go at least 1, but 2 days is good.
No, you can totally go 4 days a week. Just invite her. If she is suspicious, or if he is suspicious, say, come with me. And if she wants to work out with you, then she'll work out with you. If not, then she can leave. Or he can leave.
That's your bad side coming out again.
I'm just saying, there's nothing to hide. Just show the other person that there's nothing. You're not hiding nothing. You just need to go to the gym because for your health, for fitness reasons, whatever, for stress release, you need to go. This is part of your routine.
Oh, so now I'm stressing you out. That's what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, you are. If you want to come you can go over there in that corner and work out. I'll be in my corner and work out.
Oh,
where I am. I don't know how to hide.
Steven says, Jules, we're breaking up. Steven says, Jules, hold on. Oh man, he's making a statement saying, Jules, dating you would be like dating a homie, and you were just too much he actually says, because you are too much like a dude for me to figure how to actually get away with S because you.
That's the thing. You can't get away with S.
because you talk that real S all the time. So I'm trying to figure out, do you ever act like a girl? Do you ever have sensitive moments? And how do you deal with someone like you how would you deal with someone like you if you were more like a girl and the personality that you display is the guy's personality? How would you deal with someone like you if you were a guy?
If I were a guy.
Wow. She's like, I'll be out this piece. You know what? First off, Steven,
no.
That was a very interestingly crafted question, because you almost got me tongue-tied, and I was like, what is he saying? But yeah, I got you. Okay. So if you were a guy, how would you deal with being with somebody like you, knowing how you are, I guess, is right, Steven? Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. What does that mean? Okay, go ahead.
Don't lie. Don't make up stuff. Don't get away with nothing. I do have my sensitive side, definitely. I think every person has their sensitive side, men and women. It's just part of human nature. Am I sensitive a lot? Not necessarily, but that's only because I had to, deal with stuff, like grow up really fast and be responsible and be toughened up and whatever. But I do appreciate, when I was younger, I always thought I needed somebody who was more man than me.
This is not starting to sound good. Like, this is sounding bad.
No, but more alpha than me. More man as in like more alpha, more more outgoing, more everything than me. Problem is, with that kind of personality, I've dated that kind of personality. It didn't work out because I would always, it's like a competing thing.
Super turned up. That's what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Super turned up.
It never worked out. It just always ended bad. So, like fights and, whatever.
Jules winning the arm wrestling contest and telling him to get over it. Like stuff like that. No.
How'd you know? No. But I think now that I'm older, I recognize that I need somebody who is not necessarily completely 180 from me, but, not also neck to neck, because we would constantly be in arguments. I do need somebody who's more when I'm sensitive, he's strong. When I'm strong, he's sensitive. Like or that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Like that we balance each other out more so than constantly being the same. Because if I'm angry and he's also angry, we're both gonna just become each other's catalyst, and the synergy of anger will just become really bad. So, yeah.
But I will sell tickets if it ever comes down to it. Because y'all ain't seen nothing till you've seen Jules go off. I'm just saying. Y'all could think that she's nice and calm, but if you ever hear anybody yell from a distance, "Tiger Claw," just duck. Just duck. It's going to be over quick. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But, oh, man, Steven, thank you very much for that. That was funny. So, okay, Isabel. Isabel is asking, are men threatened? Wait, how did this come in here? Okay, are men threatened by the idea of a strong woman? And is the definition of strong woman to a man something like, I don't need you because I can do it myself? Okay, first off, I think we covered that in a different show.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out how that came up, but I think it's because now Steven started people talking about you.
Yeah, it showed both of y'all when I went up to it's called Hangouts.
I'm like, what? Okay, so here's what it is. Some men, I'm not gonna say all men because it's definitely not all men, But some men are intimidated by women who appear to be strong and independent and are able to do stuff for themselves because it means to them that they're unable to provide what he feels she may need. But this also works the other way around, where there are some women who don't like men who can take care of themselves because they want to take care of their man, right? And basically they want to mother him, and yet on the flip side, he wants to father her. So there's this whole "let me show you how to live your life right" mentality that's out there for both sexes. So it's not just a man thing, and it's not just a woman thing. It's just people, just people. But when it comes down to the idea of what a strong woman is. Oh, I know where we did this. Okay, I was like, why do I feel like we did this really recently? But I'm sorry, dear Isabel.
We did do this.
Yes, we did, but we didn't do it on this show, and we didn't do it on this platform. We did it on our own. Did we?
Yes.
I know we talked about it a little bit, but we didn't do a show dedicated to it. We did it for our upcoming thing, but we didn't do it for this. I was like,
are you sure?
I'm positive because I'm positive.
Okay.
Yeah, because we just had this discussion. That's why I'm like, this is so familiar, but it wasn't on this platform. So sorry, Isabel. So Isabel, basically, that term can often make people, like strong, independent woman, can often make people feel like they have lost their ability to feel, basically. So because when people say I'm a strong, independent woman, and I can do it myself. What that sounds like she's saying is, I don't need you, nor do I want you. You're lucky I let you near me. It's like that's kind of how it comes off. So, so the only way to really adjust for that, the only really way to make it where people get an understanding of what you mean, is by you having a definition that you can use to describe what you mean by when you say, I'm a strong woman. So instead of saying I'm a strong woman, you can actually say, I am, whatever your definition of strong woman is, and then end it with woman. That way you can say, I'm a very capable woman. That's strong. It covers pretty much. You say capable, you're covering everything anyway. But you don't have to talk about how strong you are all the time. And stuff like that, because that can be intimidating whether you're a man, woman, or whatever. Anybody who has to talk about themselves and how independent they are all the time can definitely add something negative to a relationship. Yeah. It's very negative feel. Oh man, and we have a lot of Jules fans tonight. Gary says, Jules. Okay, hold on. Okay, Gary says. D, sorry you have to read this, but you're reading the question, so here we go. Gary says, oops, this is not a question, it's a statement. Jules, you are very sexy, and I think that any man that is with you, yeah, see what I'm saying? You hurt me right now, man. But he says, Jules, you are very sexy, and I think that any man that is with you needs to be confident enough to know that he's with one of the most attractive women on earth. Not just because of your look, but because of the very presence you convey through. I was gonna say estrude. I don't know what I'm thinking, but anyway, so I'm listening to something in my ear, and I'm like, okay. Convey through the screen. Not that you are the easiest person to understand, but something about you makes me say, she's a good woman.
Gary?
Gary, you are no longer welcome on. Gary, you don't know what you've done for the next 3 weeks. For the next 3 weeks, she's going to be asking, where's Gary? Okay, man. You need to talk to Gary. But anyway. Gary, there are just some things, man. Anyway,
what?
Nothing. I feel like living.
Let the man speak. Let the man talk. He knows what he's talking about.
Hush up. Hush up. Hush up. Wow. Called me sexy. Oh, Gary. You just... Gary. Awesome. Oh, man. Well, the show's over, y'all. I don't know what else...
I'm good.
No, we can't end it like that. We can't end it like that. No, okay, so Okay, so Stacy says, good Lord. Stacy says, thank you guys for making this topic so much fun, and thank you for taking the time to answer these questions. What do you do when the person that you are with misconstrues, that's where I got that, misconstrues the meaning of the words you were saying every time you speak? How do you, how do you get them to hear what you're really saying, especially because you don't want to let them go because you see them more than they see themselves and you love them so much? What should I do about the constant misconceptions? Yeah, misconceptions of the word. I'm like
communication.
I'm like misperceptions, I think is what she meant to say, but spell check and misspelling. So I'm like, misconceptions, girl. You you communicating during the wrong time. No, but go ahead. It'd be like, ooh, just a bit outside, just missed it. No, okay, go ahead. I'm so gone right now. Well, first, like I tell people, everybody speaks their own language. Everybody has a language they speak, and a lot of times it's hard to understand the language of the person you're with because you have an expected idea of how they should be able to respond to the things you say. Mm-hmm. We do. We just expect people are going to understand what we say because we understand what we say. Mm-hmm. That's why Americans get in so much trouble in Mexico, because they say, you should understand what I'm saying. Why don't you understand what I'm saying? And then, oh, never mind. I'm not even going to talk about what happens when Americans who don't speak any kind of Asian language try to talk to Asian people who speak English, but they don't know it. It's just funny. Anyway, so saw this at the thing yesterday, the donut shop the other day. But anyway, so what you want to do is you want to take time to pay attention to the way that your person responds to different to conversations that you guys do have before you get to those deeper conversations, because you need to know how they interpret data. Mm-hmm. You think in terms of 1, 2, 3. They think in 2, 4, 6. And you're like, wait, but I said 1, and you already thinking 2, 4, 6. We done already broken up, and I said, what do you want to eat?
I don't want to have turkey.
Yeah.
Turkey. You didn't like my turkey that I made for you last week? You didn't like my turkey?
Oh, I see what's happening. You calling me a turkey. You think I'm just like all I said was I don't have a taste for turkey.
just not today.
So like you have to understand how they speak, and because your language is 1, 2, 3, that means you're going to eventually hit 4, 5, 6. So you have to know how to get where they need you to be. You have to know how to speak their language. For instance, she gonna like this, but when I speak with my wife, when Simply D speaks to his wife, I make sure that I'm speaking her language, because it's very important that I'm speaking her language.
Let's just put it that way.
Jules has learned to speak my wife's language.
Took a while.
It took years, but she does have her own language. But once you know her language, you recognize that she is not only smart, but she can help you get all your stuff together. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But you have to first learn the language and then recognize that, it's a good thing I learned to speak your language, or I would be in tax trouble. You see what I'm saying? I would not be. You see what I'm saying? But she is
literally like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. We're like 1, 10, 15, 20, 30.
She said 1, 10, 15, 30, 85. Because we have meetings just like that. You know, so,
and go back to 2.
She's like, what you guys decided about 2? Oh, we figured. Oh, 2's good. 2's good. We figured that out already.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're at 85 now.
Yeah, we're at 85. You guys just started the meeting 5 minutes ago. Yeah. So you have to pay attention to. I'm sorry. Gary's back. He's like, you guys are crazy, and I love every moment of it. Thank you. Because he says his wife's a little more difficult because it's 1, 1.5, 7, 3, 4, back to 1, because he says because she has to explain the whole thing to you from the beginning when she loses her place.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I know that language, man. I know that language. But anyway, so it is important. You learn the language. You learn how to respond to the things that they assume, so that they get out of the place of assuming and back into the facts that you're trying to speak, so that there's a calm understanding. But I will tell you that to learn the language of the person you're with, it takes a lot of patience. You know, that's a key word going around the last couple of weeks, but it takes a lot of it takes a lot of patience. And just, you know,
mean, just like time. I mean, just like any other language. If you're learning French, if you're learning Japanese, if you're learning Spanish, it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so what I tell people is enjoy the learning experience, because the moment you start getting frustrated, you know, you already have a foot out the door or up their butt. You know, so just slow it down until you have an idea of how to talk with them. That doesn't mean what's that word? I'm losing words today, I'm telling you. But it doesn't mean be condescending when you talk to them. What it means is when you talk to them, pay attention to how they respond, and then you can start to understand why they respond the way they do. Okie doke. But thank you very much for that. Wow, you guys are on one. You know what? I'm no longer you know what? I'm going to read one more of these because y'all crazy. Let's see. We have Annabelle. Oh, here's two that are pretty much the same. Annabelle and Stephanie say, Jules, hotness. Nothing but hotness. Annabelle says, she says, I started off watching tonight's episode with my boyfriend, but I had to kick him out because hotness. And he kept looking and saying, he kept looking at the screen saying, who is that? Who is that? Who is that?
D.
And she said, she said, that's simply D. He said, I'm not talking about him. So she sent him on an errand that's supposed to take him the rest of the show. Annabelle. She's like, I'm not insecure. She's like, I'm not insecure. That's why I told her she's hot.
Oh, thanks, Annabelle.
Wow. Oh, man. Oh, man. Stephanie says, simply D. Can you please tell Jules that she's beautiful, she's intelligent, and she is everything that I am aspiring to be. I'm 19 years old, and I'm looking forward to growing into such a dominating force in the media space. I also want to say that if people keep commenting on Jules' attractiveness, then I have to ask the question, D, do you help people get back together after Jules has broken them up?
Wait, what did I do to break up? What? Who did I break?
No, I break you. No,
now I break you.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That sounds fun.
Oh, man. Well, that's funny. At the end, though, she just says, good show. I really enjoyed it. Sorry you guys didn't get a chance to dive deeper, but you're really answering a lot of questions that I myself had that I didn't get a chance to ask. So, fantastic. And as for you breaking people up, it's just because, guys are paying attention to you through the screen, apparently. So,
I hope they're listening to what I'm saying.
Well, since they can only see your head, I'm sure that helps out.
But thanks, ladies.
Because we had a couple people saying, can we get a full body shot? Can we get a full body shot? I'm like, y'all don't want Jules to give you a full body shot.
I don't have a body.
Because she literally, she will punch you in the gut talking about there's your body shot. But so we're getting a lot of interesting feedback. You girls are funny. Okay. Tiffany. There are a lot of Tiffany's in the thing tonight, by the way. I just want to let you know. I've counted 17 Tiffany's. So this is interesting. So I'm going to say Tiffany H is saying, Simply D, you know, I just think after watching you guys' episodes basically since the beginning of the year, that you are one of the smartest guys on Hangouts, definitely, but possibly that I've ever really listened to and actually enjoyed. I think. Thank you. I think. She says. But my question, of course, is for Jules. Oh. Jules, have you ever been in the position where you had an opportunity to sit with D and discuss your own things and find the same thing that we're discovering in terms of he has so much information that it can make your head explode?
Oh yeah.
And it's funny reading these things. Are his arms as big as they appear? And is he like a big teddy bear, or is he more like a what is that? Or is he more like granite? I was like, what? Is it more like a granny? I thought she said granny. At first, I was like, granite. Okay, so she ends with, one day I hope that I can find somebody who is like him, but one day I hope that I can find somebody who is like him and who is also able to walk me through my issues and at the same time be as patient as he appears to be with his wife. Is that at all possible? What do you think?
I believe it's possible.
Yeah, all things are possible through Christ Jesus who strengthens us, because that's the only way you get this patient.
But you know, don't forget. What I would like to say is, don't forget that you set these standards for yourself. Now you're 19 now. Don't forget that you want somebody like D. That you will look for somebody like D, and you won't settle for anything less than that. In the sense that for somebody who's going to be patient, so for somebody who's going to listen, so for somebody who's going to be there for you and love you through thick and thin, not just not just look at you like a piece of meat. A man who's going to really be a strong, like a pillar for you, and you for him. So don't forget that you set those words now, set your standards now, and then write them down, so that later when you meet the person, if he's not the one that doesn't fit your criteria, then he's not the one. If you meet the guy that meets all those things, then okay, God answered your prayer list. So that's something that I would like to say for that. And as for D's arms, yeah, he has big arms. He has big arms. He has a smaller head than me, which sucks.
It's for all that brain, Jules. It's for all that brain.
I know.
So much of it goes unused. They needed to give you extra space. No,
hey, now.
But when are you guys going? Oh, sorry. Oh man, Simeon. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, Simeon says, when are you guys going to do a speaking tour? A lot of the conversations that you have had along this series has been great, and I think it would be wonderful to have these kinds of things available in our towns, in our local communities, and things of that nature. What are your plans when it comes down to bringing these topics to people in person? Well,
well,
honestly, that's the reason why we switched to Hangouts, is so that we could get in front of more people all over the world, because Google is so massive. But we do, down the line, have plans on doing things like relationship cruises and things like that, where we can get a lot of our fans together to, just people all around the world together, where we can just have a bunch of fun, with relationships, talking about positive relationships, and moving, and even have some of the workshops that are just fun to do when you're with the person you love. So you can, there's just so much. There's so much possibility. Sorry, I'm sitting here dry mouth. But there's so much in terms of possibilities that we have in front of us. And right now we're trying to make sure that we roll things out where we can actually maintain the level of professionalism that you guys are seeing now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not what you're seeing now, but what you're gonna see. But we are trying to roll things out at a particular speed, just so we don't get so fried that the answers you're gonna get for every question you ask is, I don't know, what you think. You know, so but we do plan on doing some kind of speaking tour in the future and other things like that. So thank you for your question, Simeon. That's fantastic. Somehow this turned into an open for discussion episode.
Maybe we were due for one, so it's okay.
Yeah, we were definitely due for one. Jackie says, Jules, Jackie says, how does it feel to be one of the most prestigious women in Hangouts, knowing how many shows are on Hangouts right now, and how Hangouts is kind of taking on a life of its own? How does it feel to be one of the most prestigious women? Does it affect you in does it affect you when it comes down to being Asian and actually being Asian and actually spending so much time talking about relationships, when I know that that's not something that we do?
You're Asian too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was a prestigious force in Hangouts. Thank you.
She'll pay no attention to that.
I don't. But that's nice to hear. I hope that whatever I say really has an effect a positive effect, not just any old effect, but a positive effect on those that listen to our show. As for me saying relationship topic material, I think it's necessary because of the fact that many people don't. And I think maybe coming from an Asian female, people will listen a little bit closer, only because it's not because they haven't seen it very much before. And that we do have stuff that we go through all the time. It's not that we are mute and that, you know, we have no experiences. It's been so taboo to talk about things for a while, and nobody gets answers because, you know, nobody talks about it. So it's necessary. And in the beginning, it wasn't particularly the most comfortable thing to do for me, because I did have to break through a lot of barriers and walls myself, and push through the mold that I built around me, and it was a learning curve, but it was necessary for myself as well. It's a learning and growing process for me, and so it's good that, and I'm really happy that people are actually growing with me through this show, because I'm still a work in progress, as I always say. I really am, and I hope that people see the progress through, you know, the transitions and through all the things and all the avenues that we have available, that people see that and get inspired by that, and they get hope that they can also, they also are growing, you know, and working towards that positive outcome, I guess is the best way to put it. And they are also work in progress, and they can do it. So, yeah.
We're just going to say a quick hello to, I think it's Jeddah Casa from Saudi Arabia.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's. I can't quite understand what he is trying to say in the comments, but I do want to let you know that we are seeing your comments, and we want to thank you for watching the broadcast. Because I spent a while trying to be able to say this name correctly and everything, because I just wasn't sure. But you know, let's be honest. But and he does let us know that he doesn't do English very well, so I think he said greetings from Saudi Arabia. Education Ministry, but it said buildings from Saudi Arabia, so I just had to work with that. So anyway, that's fantastic. Thank you guys for tuning in to tonight's show. We're going to do something special for you guys real quick. We're going to take one or two more questions. We're way over our time, but like Joel said, I think we were just overdue for open for discussion, and it's actually been really cool to hear you guys' opinions of the shows so far. Maggie says, hey INNERMIX, I decided to say both of you as opposed to one of you, because everybody's spending a lot of time focusing in on you guys as individuals, when really those of us who know you from the radio show know you are not individuals at all. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And she says, and no, everyone, they are not secretly married. We found that out. So, must be a long-time listener. When Maggie says, I want to know about the direction of, this new platform for you guys. Is this something that you guys are planning on doing for a while, or will you be returning back to radio? Because although I enjoy the Hangouts, I do miss some of the feel from the radio show, and I don't get the same sitting on a couch with you two feeling that I did before. Not to say that this is worse or anything, it's just different. And I kind of miss the intermix that I knew in the beginning. She says that you're one of our long riders, huh? That being said, I really am enjoying this entire series. It's one of the longest series you guys have done, but it's definitely right on time. Thank you for taking the time out to deal with such a serious thing that's happening to us all when it comes to stress and relationships. Also, can you make it a point to not only talk about the romantic relationships, but those between mother, daughter, father, son, husband, husband and wife, which is romantic, and especially, and friends.
It should be romantic.
I hope it's romantic, because if not, you probably have stress in your relationship. And friends. I am really interested in how to build the kind of friendship that you guys display every week, even when Dee is doing most of the talking. But those who are used to the radio show kind of know they have a system. Okay. Thanks again, and I look forward to next week's episode, which will probably be a continuation of this week's episode. Long-time listeners, boy, they got stuff to say, and I love them. I love. Thank you very much, Maggie. So, Maggie, when it comes down to the radio show, honestly, that goes back and forth, but there's a reason for that. We have things coming down the pipeline that are going to require a bit, our time, as well as this platform. We have found that the Google Hangouts platform allows us to reach more people quicker, and it allows them to watch us whether they're on their cell phones or on their tablets, all their mobile devices, and it allows us a couple freedoms that we did not have in our previous platform, including quality of sound. And stability of system, but we are looking into doing a podcast version of this show. But after doing a little bit of research, we were trying to figure out if we need to record separate podcasts from what we're doing here on the Hangouts, only because a lot of people who would be listening to the podcast are the same people who are here on the Hangouts with us. And everybody's looking for more and more INNERMIX content. And so we're trying to work out the best way to give you guys what you need in the areas that you receive it best, kind of like we talked about earlier, the different languages. And we know that the people who were listening to our radio show spoke an entirely different language than the people that tend to come and watch us on Hangouts. We've talked about this several times in our own personal meetings. And but we cannot deny that the Hangouts is reaching a crowd that normally does not receive this kind of material. So we're working on it. So we're not counting anything out, but right now we are focusing to make sure that we give you guys the best experience we can in the Hangout setting while we move forward with the other projects that we have at the same time. So you'll be seeing more. As soon as INNERMIX360.com comes up, you'll start to understand so much more about what we've been working on, why we chose to come to Hangouts. Did I answer ever that? Did that do that?
Did I do that?
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure. Okay, but thank you for being such a long time listener, and we do hope that eventually you'll get back. You'll start to have that on the couch, feeling that you used to have with us on the radio show. But we do know that a visual space does give it a different feel, and that's just how it's always been. But thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for that was not even a pun, but thank you for staying with us and growing with us as we move from platform to platform. We love the loyalty that you show. So yeah, and then our last question for the night, because this thing is so going off in my ears right now. Our last question for the night is, hold on, I gotta rewind this thing back for the name. Is okay, Teresa Hamill. Teresa Hamill wants to know, how do you guys decide on the topics for your shows, and what made you decide that this was something that you really wanted to do for others? Also, I want to know because I looked you guys up online. Are you going to be doing any more? Are you going to be doing any acting anytime soon? What's going on with that? And hold on. And what do you guys do to prepare for your acting, for the work that you guys do? Will we see you guys possibly become a couple on screen at any time, whether it be large or small screen or even stage? I think the idea of INNERMIX doing a musical after hearing your song on your other website, INNERMIX.net site, is I think it's something that we all would really enjoy seeing, especially the I Can't Lose version of INNERMIX. Okay. Well, Ms. Hamill, that was nice. That was nice. You guys do your research. I guess we are on Google, so it's not that difficult. Okay. Let me answer some of the easier, or let's see if I can package these all into one answer. When it comes down to why, how we pick the shows. We pick shows based on doing research and looking around to see what people really are, what's happening in the world around us, because it makes no sense to choose topics that are not going to be important to the people who we are trying to reach. We decided we wanted to reach out to people because somewhere along the line someone reached out to us and helped us through trying times, difficulties, and we made it through and continue to make it through things that can be quite difficult. And we know that if we can do it with all the obstacles that were set against us, we know that you can too. But a lot of times people never come and tell you not only that you can, but tell you how you can make it through. So that's
another thing is D and I on ours separately have always, in a weird way, have always been the counselor anyway. Especially D, like people would just randomly come up to him and tell them of their random prostate issues and whatever situations that they're going through. They're always needing some kind of guidance or advice or help, whatever. And same thing with me, not necessarily prostate situations, but relational stuff. And it just, we would constantly be talking to people about this kind of stuff, and then it just made sense that we enjoy it, and so it just made sense that we reach more people, because instead of doing just only one by one, which takes a long time, and we don't reach as many, being on a platform such as Hangouts, we can answer everybody's question. And many people, you're not alone. Many people will have your same questions in the same situation that you're in, needing, asking the same questions, needing the answers. And so it just made sense for us to do this. And being on a visual stage, avenue, visual space, it just has that more of a intimate, I'm really talking to you, you're really talking to me kind of feel, and that's why we really enjoy the hangout portion of what we're doing. Yeah.
Yes. Now, as for the acting things, we are always working toward finding and working on the right things that are going to help move INNERMIX into the acting space. But one thing that we have made it a point to focus on while doing that is to make sure that you guys continue to get the right kind of content from Intermix. So you're not going to see us doing just anything, but you will see something that says, yeah, those are our people. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be variety in the work, because anybody who's known us long enough knows that we need to move around a little bit. We don't sit still very long, and sitting still in one personality can be quite difficult for some people over there.
What? So, I don't know who where.
So we love that space. Thank you for the compliment about the doing a musical. I've done, I think, 3 musicals, and they are a lot of fun. I will tell you, I enjoy them all the time. I've done, 3 musicals and I think 4 or 5 regular plays, and the musicals were always just more fun to me. I love the regular plays because you can get a little more dramatic in those, but you can get hit a lot more. But I do like the musicals, and I can see that one day INNERMIX doing a musical of some kind, and that would just be awesome.
Hey, if Green Day has a musical, we could have a musical.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It'd be called INNERMIX, the musical. Why? Because
we are so original. That's why.
We put our name on everything. Like, y'all don't know? No. So we do that. Would you possibly see us playing opposite each other in a romantic role? When it comes down to the things we do, I say that nothing is impossible. That's pretty much the only way I can really say that, because one day she might be stabbing me, the next day she might be shooting me. She might love me in the movie and then shoot me in the movie as she's loving me, because that's just how she gets down. But because I'm always playing a villain for some reason. So you just never know.
Why am I always so violent?
Man, I don't know.
Slapping people, hitting people, shooting people, cutting them up.
Well,
I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
No. Right. I done typecasted her already. I'm sorry. Yeah. People are like, something we don't know, D? Anyway, but we really enjoy all the work we do in the entertainment space, and so we do, so anything is possible, and Jules and I are at the points where there's nothing that we feel we cannot do, as long as we're working with each other to make sure that we're our strongest and our best. So if I get to play opposite Jules, or she's playing opposite, I think it'll just be more dynamic, to be honest, because at some point we just stop caring. We're like, whatever, especially if she gets to hit me. Never mind. But even when we're not playing opposite each other, when we're not in the same scene or doing anything, we're always still right there for each other in the process. So it's pretty much like it's just an ongoing, it just moves on very well, very healthy, very good. And then did I get all of them? I think I got all of them. So yeah. So thank you very much for you guys' questions. And again, focus on consistency from the beginning of your relationship when it comes down to who you want them to know, who you want the person that you're in a relationship to know, because are they going to know the you pretend to be, or the you that you actually are? I would suggest stay who you are and make room for them, but don't give up who you are for them, because you don't want to come back with regrets. Okay? See how we just wrapped that up like a Jerry Springer show? Final thoughts.
He's not done. Wow, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen a show. Yeah.
I ain't seen it no time soon, but I come from television and stuff, so at the end, we always have to wrap it up in a nice little bow. That's how we do. So, but yeah, Angie, one day, maybe I think we made it. Angie was asking. She said, "Why INNERMIX? Will we ever hear the INNERMIX story? And will we ever hear your individual testimonies, because obviously God is truly working in you guys' lives. What are some of the most difficult decisions you've made in recent history? How did you survive making those decisions? I recently just put my mother into a senior's home, not because I wanted to put her with other old people, but because I'm sorry, I just never heard it put that way. But because because although I am a nurse, I knew that for me to be able to maintain her quality of care, I would have to stop working. And I could not afford to do that because I am the sole breadwinner in my household. Good Lord. How do you keep it all together while making these decisions? What do you guys do? How do you guys how do you guys do you guys work with each other when it comes down to making these decisions, or do you just wait and find out at the end of the outcome? And she has a LOL. That weird, sounds weird in my ear. It says, LOL, how do you what? I'm sorry, Angie. Okay. LOL, how do you keep each other motivated on moving forward when you face difficult individual times? The first part of your question is easy. INNERMIX, Jules actually named our group, and I just agreed because I'm smart and I know better than to disagree. Hey, don't laugh like you know it's true. But actually, no, seriously, we can't go into it all right now because we truly are over our time. But I will say that in life, difficult things do come, and decisions to make, and making difficult decisions is not easy, especially when you're dealing with family. We've all had to make decisions, and if we haven't made them, we will make them because our parents do get older. And if you are the oldest in your family, or you are the responsible one in your family, because it's not always the oldest, then you're going to have to make the same kind of decisions that Angie, that you had to make, Angie. And I was recently talking to my mother about this, and it does it does wear on you. It can really wear on you because you want the best for your mom, and in doing that, you also have to think about what is best for your mom. And although because they're family, you always want to keep them with you, sometimes it's just not the right decision. So I think that the fact that you are struggling with it means that you care enough to do the right thing for her, as opposed to just taking the easy way out, or becoming or putting so much of a burden on yourself that you're going to be no good for her. So I definitely think that is something that it does take a lot of strength, but at the same time, just from what you've given us tonight, I think you made the right decision when it comes to that. But you love her, so just make sure you make time for her while she's in that place, so she doesn't feel like she's been abandoned. That's a very important step when it comes to that. And as for when me and Jules go through difficult times, we just talk to each other. It's pretty straightforward. We talk about whatever's happening, and then how to and then depending on the place we are when we're having this discussion, will determine how the response comes out.
Very true.
So, as for the what INNERMIX means, it is simply a combination of all of our, of all the things that we are, and we mix all the things that Jules is together with all the things I am, and although it sounds like an ugly cocktail, it's a very beautiful thing. So
basically everything that's within us as individuals, and then within us as a duo, all mixed together. So hence INNERMIX. That's how it came out.
Yeah, isn't it sweet? So everything, every property you guys see our name on, that truly is a mixture of our talents. And the definition of INNERMIX, legally, is the combination of my talents with Jules' talents professionally and in business. Creatively and in business is what INNERMIX actually is. As for testimony stuff, we'll
do that on another show.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Well, I can talk.
Go ahead then, talk. It's too late now. Whatever.
What? We'll see you next week.
You ain't gonna see nothing.
Monday at 9 o'clock. Our next hangout.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Have a good night.
Y'all know where to find us, right?
Yes, I do.
Where
do you? I do.
Where do they find us, Jules? You don't know where to find
Facebook. Type in INNERMIX.
Yeah.
On Instagram, it's INNERMIX360. On Twitter, it's INNERMIX_show or at INNERMIX_show. And then Google Plus. INNERMIX Show. Plus INNERMIX Show.
Almost got
it. What's
anyway,
up?
You guys, I'm Simply D.
It's Jules.
And good night, y'all. See you next week.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.